Hi, I'm Carrie, and this is Two Under the Indian Sun by Jon and Rumer Godden. Two English novelists. It's a memoir about their childhood, a period of 4 years living in India from 1914 to 1918. Now, you may have heard of Rumer Godden. She became the more successful of the two sisters in terms of writing novels, some of which were made into films. One, I think, particularly famous one is called The River. Now, this is one of the best memoirs I've read ever in terms of structure and sheer ability to evoke a time and place, one which I have, obviously no firsthand knowledge of, India during the First World War. What makes it particularly good is it's structured like a novel, with a beginning, middle, and end, with a lot of growth in the characters along the way. The fact that it's all true doesn't make it less like a novel. It's just really smart writing. She and her two other sisters, four girls all in total, live with their parents in the near the coast of the Bay of Bengal, near present-day Bangladesh. Actually, probably in present-day Bangladesh, now that I think of it. And while there is nothing extraordinary in terms of what happens to them as children, except for having to get rabies shots on 2 occasions because they're bitten by rabid dogs, what it gives us is a complete picture of what life was like for the English administrators and business people and civil servants of that era. And the fact that they lived lives of privilege beyond what they could have expected to live in England on their incomes. And what it perhaps reveals unknowingly is what generations of English people, British people, going out to the colonies, to India in particular, perhaps, and then returning, as they inevitably did for the most part after their jobs were done, is that it probably reinforced class prejudice, because so many of the people who went out to India and the colonies were, of course, middle class, perhaps even lower middle class. But in the colonies, they enjoyed a status amongst the people they were administrating or working with of upper class. They had flocks of servants. They lived what looked like wealthy lives to someone who was looking at it perhaps from the British Isles. When in fact, once they got back to England, they were once more counting pennies and living tight, circumscribed lives. And one can imagine that only led to a kind of resentment and an attempt to bring the severe class differences one saw in India, or at least the pretensions the English might have had to living upper class lives, back to England. So it's, I have no idea if this is true, but it occurred to me while I was reading it that what a shock it must have been to go from having dozen servants in India doing everything for you, to coming back to in England where you have to rent a not very attractive house and travel by third-class rail and so on and so forth. In terms of what they experience there, we get a very heartfelt and unbiased description of life in India, the good and the bad, both of the English who are working there, and of the suffering of the local population in terms of poverty and occasional religious uprisings that could be quite bloody. But the quality of the writing is the main thing, and it's quite amazing considering this is written by 2 people. It doesn't feel like something that was a compromise. Writing is top-notch, and as I said, wonderfully evocative of that era and of the scents and smells, the entire sensory package of living in that time and place. Can't recommend it enough. What else? Yeah, that's about it for that one. Promote my own novel, The Skeleton Poems, noir thriller. Please check it out if you can. It's available on Amazon, of course, as is most everything else. Thanks. Bye.